Hi there, my name is Kayla, and today I'm going to be talking about bar graphs. I'm sorry, I've been super sick lately, so I'm going to use my best so that y'all can hear me. I might be a little hoarse. But, anyways, I am talking about bar graphs for second grade, and we're going to be learning how to create one also. So my lesson objective is for the students to be able to create a bar graph, not necessarily on their own quite yet, but I want them to be able to do it like with a group. Um, Previous knowledge is that they know how to like add and subtract to where when we do compare and contrast graphs, that they are able to see the difference in those by using those. And the same with the written skills, be able to draw and identify the graphs. All right, so let's get started. All right, good morning, students. We're going to be learning about how to organize data, and one of the ways you're going to do that is through a bar graph. Now, there's a lot of different types of graph, but with this specific bar graph, it's best to use when you have discrete data. Can anyone tell me what discrete is? Yeah, so discrete is like a full number. It's a lot easier. It's not necessarily a guarantee, but we're going to be working with discrete data. Now, does anyone remember or heard about a bar graph or know what it looks like? All right, so this is new for y'all. And that is totally good. It's always good to learn something new. But a bar graph is going to look something like this. Y'all see how it has the different columns on it, as well as a label on top and an X and Y axis. So we will be getting to that later on. All right, so first, we're going to look at this example over. It is a graph that is already conducted, and it's what kind of pet do you own. So as you can see, it's the same one I showed y'all earlier. There's 5 different columns. Each of these columns represents a label. Now, the x-axis, as you remember, we've learned this really briefly, is horizontal, and the y-axis is the vertical one. So when we look at this, the x-axis is the name of the animal, and the y-axis is the number, as in the number that people have that certain type of animal according to this certain graph. So let's see. By looking at this graph, can anyone tell me how many cats are represented? Yes. Yeah, so all you would do is look at the cats and go up, draw with your finger. See how I draw up with my finger and I cross over? 11. 11 students have a cat. That's what this graph is saying. Do y'all understand how bar graphs are represented by data that is collected? Yeah, good. See, it's not too difficult. It's not too difficult. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Okay, we're gonna move on. So now we're gonna do another example really quickly, just to make sure y'all have the hang of it. This is on fruit sales. There's, once again, 5 different columns. Now, there can always be more than 5 or less than 5. It just depends on what your data is collected. So this has apples, bananas, grapes, oranges, and pears. So those are all fruits. As you can see, the label is down here as well in the sales. So how would I go about finding this out for like the sum of oranges? So if I wanted to know how many oranges were sold, how can I do that? Does anyone know? That's exactly right. So you could use, remember, the y-axis that has the number. We could find the column that has oranges and draw our fingers all the way up to see which number it most occurs with. And in this instance, it is 50. It's about 50. 50. Good. That is absolutely right. Now, does anyone have any questions before we move on to learning about different types of bar graphs? All right, we're doing good. All right. Now, I'm going to draw this one for you. So I didn't feel like coloring in today, so I just put a dot. Now, can I put a dot? I can't. Why can't I? You think that's a different graph? Well, in fact, you are right. That is a different graph, okay? So this represents a different type of graph. This is called a line graph. So we want to make sure, my point in bringing this up to you is this is not an example of a bar graph. Your bar graphs, you want to have columns and make sure the columns are equally spaced apart. Do y'all see the difference there? Alright, I just wanted to throw one in there just to trick you just a little bit to make sure that y'all are on the right page to understanding. Alright, now one last thing that we're going to do before moving on is when we're comparing and contrasting two different types of graphs. Now we can do this with bar graphs. So here we have two different graphs. But these are both on pet preferences. But let's say this one is from 2010 and this one's from 2017. And we took it over the same number of people. So we can look at saying, okay, well, we can see here that dogs, how many dogs are represented by this first graph? Right, there's about 40. But down here in 2017, there's only about 8 people that have dogs. So what we can do in order to find the difference, what's the key word there? Difference. Right, difference refers to subtraction. So what we would do is we would subtract those two numbers to find the difference throughout the years and the difference that 2010 has versus 2006 or 17, excuse me. So as you can see, bar graphs are very helpful for us in many different ways. All right, we are going. That was just a quick example on dogs. Remember, y'all can compare and contrast in many different ways. You can say rabbits versus how many more hamsters are there. There's lots of different things you can do with bar graphs. That's why they're kind of cool for us. They're a very cool activity. All right, students. Now, I want you to go back to your tables, and once you go back, you're going to be creating your own bar graph. But first, we're going to collect our data because you don't have any data yet, so we will do that. But I'm going to give you the instructions first. So you will be creating your own bar graph, and it's going to be over ice cream flavors. But then I do have this little quick worksheet for you. It's super simple. It's just like 1 page long, true, false, that you'll be completing on your own. So remember, on your own, we use level 0 voices because you should not be working with your partners. But first, I want you all to go back and create a bar graph. So let's collect our data really quickly before moving on. So you may only vote for one ice cream flavor. Okay, I'm going to have 4 different categories. I'm going to have a chocolate category. And I'm going to write them down. I'm going to have a vanilla category. And I'm going to have a strawberry category. Let's see if I can get my pen out. And then we'll have just an other to represent all those other ice cream flavors, okay? So I want all of you to vote just for one of the following. All right, so raise your hand if you want chocolate. Okay, there's 5 of you that like chocolate. All right, put your hands down. Now vanilla. All right, there's 2 of you that like vanilla. What about strawberry? Ooh, interesting, a lot of strawberries. 12 of you. All right, and what about other? 6 of you. All right. So here's your data I will display on the board. You see chocolate has 5, vanilla has 2, strawberry has 12, and other I put as 6. So now I want you to go back with your table groups and work on your own bar graph. Now, a trick question for all of you while y'all are moving around. Should this bar graph should all y'all's be different, or should they be alike with other table groups? Yeah, they should be alike, okay? So this is going to test your knowledge. Test your knowledge. All right, I'm going to give you a little second to do so. Work together, work together. Good. All right. Good. I'm going to quickly jot together one for y'all. As well, while y'all are working, thank you for working very quietly. And also, whenever you're doing bar graphs, if you would like to put the number above, if you're creating it as a result, you may put the number above if that helps you. That's what I like to do sometimes. It helps me figure out later on what works best for me. And don't make sure y'all have the correct labels. And then all right, almost done here. All right, now I just jotted mine together super quickly, but it should look something like this. And we can clearly see that 12 is the highest number out of all of those. And it is. It's easier for us to compare when we have a visual representation of our data like we have here. All right. Now I'm going to pass out y'all's worksheet. Make sure you are circling true or circling false whenever it's correct. If you have any questions, I am here to help you. But that does not mean that your neighbor helps you on this worksheet. So raise your hand if you have any questions. Yes, Abby, how may I help you? All right, yeah, so ice cream flavors, exactly. Like, let's use our ice cream flavors for an example if you're confused on X and Y. So if I put my numbers on the bottom on the X-axis and the labels on the vertical side, like this, which ways do you think my bars would go? Yep. See, it helps to think a little bit backwards. Good, keep going. All right, if anyone else has any questions, I'll be over here. And once again, we will collect in about 5 to 10 minutes. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Y'all are doing a great job. I will add 10 marbles to y'all's jar for the day. All right, and that concludes my lesson 3 on bar graphs. Thank you.